Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the first season of Teen Wolf on MTV, which centers around high school outcast Scott McCall, who while walking in the woods is bitten and his life forever changed. Is he a human or a werewolf or a little bit of both? Controlling the strange urges he now feels is the toughest part. He's afraid these urges could end up controlling him. Will the bite be a gift or a curse? Especially when it relates to Allison, who Scott can't get enough of. So yeah, here we are talking about Teen Wolf of all shows. This is a show I've fiddled with here and there over the years. I had like 2 episodes left in the first season, so the other night I just decided to give it one more go, and I finished the season. But yeah, so I sort of have an interesting, I'm not really, I have a bit of a past with Teen Wolf. I mean, I tried to watch it a few years ago, or well, a couple of years ago. It was alright, it didn't really click quite right with me. I do remember, though, a few years ago before that, I think it was like in, probably closer to when it first started, maybe a couple of years in or something. I watched episode 7, the night school episode, which is actually a pretty good one for the show's usual. Where they're trapped in the school at night, and the elf is outside trying to get in, and yeah, I just kind of like that closed-in scenario. But here's the issue with me. I've seen a lot of supernatural shows. Okay, I've seen a lot of vampire stuff, werewolf stuff. Great shows like The Vampire Diaries, like the originals especially, as well as Supernatural, of course. And Being Human, which is my favorite show of all time. So I've been pretty spoiled on these types of genres for TV. And I feel like if I had seen Teen Wolf before all of those, I'd probably like it more. like if I had seen it right when it started or something, when I was first getting so obsessed with TV shows the way I am now, I probably would have been really into it. But the fact that I've seen all those other shows now and seen how good all those were, this doesn't quite hold up to any of that. It's alright, I thought the first season was alright. It's not to say that it's all bad. I mean, there are some enjoyable aspects to it, and even if I sort of stopped watching for a while, I kept coming back to it. I kept thinking about it for some reason. So there's some kind of quality that's drawing me back, and I probably will be watching season 2. It's on Amazon Prime in its entirety. It's just hard to describe. I don't need to go over every plot detail of the season, but yeah, Scott, he's bitten, so they're trying to figure out this alpha thing. We're introduced to Derek Hale, who is played by Tyler Hoechlin, who is now known for playing Superman on Supergirl on the CW. He was also in Road to Perdition as a kid, one of my personal favorite Tom Hanks films. And then you have Dylan O'Brien, who plays Styles in this. He becomes a big fan favorite, and he's known for the Maze Runner movies nowadays. You have Colton Haynes, who's on Arrow. But yeah, of course, Allison, the girl he meets, she's a new girl at school, and she just so happens to be connected to, or be the daughter of a pretty prominent werewolf hunter, a whole group of them. So, of course, there's issues there. And so, yeah, it's basically the main plot of the season, him trying to maintain a relationship with her while dealing with this new, affliction of himself, as well as, trying to figure out the mystery of this alpha, who it actually is, and, what his scheme is, what dark history is he tied to within the town, as well as a lot of Derek's background. So yeah, Seth Gillum is also on the show, who is Father Gabriel on The Walking Dead. He's the vet, but it turns out he may know a little bit more than you initially think. So yeah, overall, again, I don't want to make this a comparison video, but I just feel like I've been so spoiled on these types of shows. But I did like it, I thought it was alright. Probably the weakest part for me, though, is the acting. or all the acting and probably parts of the plot. I mean, I just feel like everyone's a bit dull on the show. There's no one that gives a great performance yet. They all range from very, very average to fine to once in a while pretty good. You have Tyler Posey as Scott McCall, and he's all right. You know, I feel like he's a bit dull. He radiates that about him for some reason. Over the season, though, I think he did become a bit more likable for me. He does a increasingly slightly better job of being a little bit more relatable as it goes on. I just feel like I just wish they would have gotten someone with a little bit more range, who's a little bit more capable anyway, but it is what it is. And his relationship with Allison I liked. I'm not even sure if this picture is from season 1, it might not be. And as far as Allison, Crystal Reed, I did like her. I think she still has ways to go as an actress too. But I think she's reasonably emotive with her eyes. I found her likable. I wanted to root for her in a way, even though she sort of goes down a generic plot line, with her relationship with Scott and not being able to trust him because of Scott having to lie because of him being a werewolf and everything like that. But then as the season goes on, she finds out more about what her family's connected to, and she sort of steps up a little bit more and begins to understand things. It gets a little bit better, and I think there could have been worse picks to play her than Crystal Reed. I think she does a fine job. She probably has the most potential out of anyone, alongside Dylan O'Brien, who plays Styles. Like I said, he's sort of the comic relief of the show. He's probably the most prominent actor to come out of it now, I guess, maybe alongside Tyler Hoechlin, who we'll talk about in a minute. He's entertaining. He's probably the most consistent with his performance on the show, I'd say. There are some funny moments that did make me chuckle between him and Scott. Just some little awkward bits here and there, and then when he's when he has to work or help with Derek, has a very self-serious personality. That just the contrast is pretty funny. And you can tell he has a heart there, and I can kind of see why he may eventually become a favorite of the show. He also has a thing for Lydia, played by Holland Roden, who is kind of comes across as stuck up, but she sort of has a buried intelligence and sort of that hidden vulnerability or care to her, I guess. Colton Haynes does an alright job in this season, sort of the jock douchebag who takes interest in the wolves eventually and becomes suspicious of it all. But maybe he kind of cares too. You know how that is. I didn't get pictures of them up though, besides the rating, which I'm not going to reveal quite yet. But yeah, speaking of Tyler Hoechlin though, he was probably the most interesting part of the show to me. I mean, he gives a decent performance. I still really, really wish they would have just gotten some actors with more range here, because I feel like they try a little bit, but it just doesn't go through. But I still like him. His past and his background with his family's house being burned down, and sort of the history of werewolves and hunters in this town. I like how that was explored. That was probably the best part of it. What happened to his sister, and I sort of like how he becomes a mentor, kind of big brother figure to Scott. Rough on him, but he's got all the knowledge, so he sort of works as that character. Sort of to introduce Scott to that world. And then they sort of give him a twist at the end of the season that sets him up as a different type of character, but he's still probably my favorite on the show. Definitely with the most serious story potential, I think, hopefully. So we'll see. And then as far as the werewolves themselves, I didn't get a picture of Derek uploaded as a werewolf, but here's Scott. And I don't mind the look of him. I mean, I like that's more of a humanoid werewolf type of thing. I'm glad it's not just like a Twilight looking regular wolf or something. I'm glad they look like either wolfmen or like this alpha werewolf. Even though CG isn't great, it's still some kind of beast. It's obviously not just a wolf. So I like that. There are far worse looking werewolves on shows I've seen. Like I said, I love Vampire Diaries and originals, but I never liked how their werewolves were just wolves. So I kind of like how they're different here. So that's something the show has going for it. Some of the fight scenes could be better though, like Scott and Derek end up fighting at one point, and it feels like a like a wrestling match, like tables, ladders, and chairs or something. It's like more like human brawling and stuff. I wish it would be a bit more feral in how they would do it. Although at the end of the season, how they end up trying to fight the Alpha together, which I really did like the final couple episodes, I'll say that. How the Alpha is actually killed at the end. He was burned alive, and then his throat slashed by Derek, who then takes on the mantle of the Alpha. I thought it was actually pretty cool. There's a little bit of brutality they did that I appreciated, as well as Kate. I think her name was Kate. She was Allison's aunt, and who also had ties to Derek as well. They were together at one point, but she had a hand in burning the house down and everything because they were together. She gets her throat basically slashed or torn out and everything too. So there's moments where they get a little more feral. I just wish in the fight scenes like Derek and Scott, it was like a little more kind of claw slash, not so much like punch or I don't know. But we'll see. It's only the first season. So yeah, Teen Wolf is kind of a mixed bag for me. Again, I've seen superior supernatural type shows, but there's qualities about it and something that's drawing me back to it. I think it's enjoyable. I also think the pacing is actually pretty good on the show, because it's 12 episodes for the first season. I think it's 12 for each of them, except the season 3 and onward, where they divide them in half and everything, which is weird. I think the pacing's pretty good. They're all 42, 44-minute episodes or whatever. But I'll get through it easy enough. It engages me for some reason. So I'll be about halfway done with it before I look at the time or something. So, and the story in general didn't feel too dragged out. And there's scenarios, there's some social awkwardness and stuff I think is actually kind of funny. It has a little bit of charm to it. So yeah, overall, Teen Wolf still a mixed bag for me, but I do enjoy it to some extent. I won't deny that. I'm willing to see where it goes. Not every show has to achieve greatness for me. I can dislike something. So even if it doesn't become amazing to me, maybe it'll just go down as a fairly likable, enjoyable show. But we'll see. I still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more seasons to go. So overall, I'm giving the first season of Teen Wolf around a C++, probably closer to a C right now, so about a 75%, because everyone's obsessed with percentages these days. Maybe after thinking about it, I could bump it up to just the bare minimum to get a C+ at a 78 or something. But the show's gonna have to do more work to, go above that, I think. We'll see, though. So let me get guys thought of the first season of Teen Wolf without spoilers. How does it compare to the others for you? So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.